All right, hey guys, good Monday to you. An intense storm pattern setting up across the country with two powerful storms that we're looking at early this week and toward the middle part of the week. The first now is affecting parts of the plains with some severe weather. We're also watching the second one. It's an extreme event across the Pacific Northwest and Northern California that's going to bring 1 to 3 feet of snow. Rain could really total up to 4 to 8 inches. So, this is going to be a very strong storm off the coast that's going to be a multi-day event for this area. Damaging winds are possible also with some gusts that could exceed 50, 60, maybe even 70 miles per hour. And then the snow will get really heavy. Mountain snow, again, up to 3 feet in some areas. And then I think there also is going to be the risk of some power outages, flooding, mudslides, all the above along the coast. And then we watch this storm move north into parts of northern Minnesota, parts of North Dakota, and then into Manitoba and Saskatchewan, where we could see several inches of snow. Here's a quick look at where the cold is. Most of it's still up here across Alaska. We are going to tap into some of that and move it south, and we're going to get into that a little bit more in this video. Across the Central Plains, this is our piece of energy that's lifting north. A strong area of low pressure is going to develop here on the backside of it. That's where we're going to see some snow at first, and this moisture continues to just plume into the Pacific Northwest. Out ahead of this system on Monday, today, this is where we'll see the risk of tornadoes from parts of Missouri, Kansas, especially down here into Oklahoma, Texas, and then areas to the east of that into Louisiana, Arkansas, maybe even parts of southwest and southern Mississippi as we head into the later part of the day. If you want to look at some of these storms and time them out, it looks like they'll start to really line up through the day and stay that way. And then once we move into the afternoon and evening hours, Missouri, Arkansas, and into Louisiana, and now our surface low moving toward Iowa, wrapping up on the backside of this some cold and maybe some snow here. Too warm for snow for the Twin Cities, over here to Chicago, just a rain event here. Let's start out west because this is where the storm that will eventually affect the east is moving right now, at least the energy is. This is going to bring a prolonged heavy snow event here from the Cascades down into the mountains of Northern California through the next couple of days. Snow levels initially pretty low across parts of Washington up in here, right around 1,000 feet. That's fairly low. And then into the Cascades of Oregon, we're at about 1,000 to 2,000 feet. And then once you get down into California, a little bit higher, close to 3,000 feet. Now, what's going to happen on Tuesday, a strong area of low pressure off the coast is going to approach. We're going to see our winds start to pick up. And we're also going to see the snow levels start to come up as well. This atmospheric river will continue for a couple of days. Snow levels will actually go up from 2,500 feet up to 6,000 feet. And we're also going to get some heavy, wet snow, like concrete, cascade concrete, really, if you will. And we're also going to see some strong winds that could lead to some tree damage and power outages. And it's not just going to be along the coast. It's not just going to be in Northern California. This heavy snow is going to push inland too into parts of Idaho, also parts of Montana. So the Sawtooth, also the Bitterroot Mountain ranges, significant snow here with 1 to up to 3 feet of snow in many of these areas here into the Pacific Northwest. If you're not seeing snow, you're likely getting heavy rain, potentially 4 to 8 inches as we move through the end of the week. And this is really going to pick up across parts of California as we head into Friday and Saturday here into the Sierra Nevada. So strong storms moving into the west, and it's going to continue for the next couple of days. And this looks like it may actually impact parts of the northern Rockies. Here's a quick look at your snow totals through Saturday. And again, more snow up in this region with feet of snow. Let's look at the storm that's moving north today, heading into the northern plains as we head into tonight and Tuesday. Out ahead of this, rain showers. We talked about the severe risk here across the south. Low pressure deepening here, cold air starting to wrap in behind it with rain changing to snow across parts of North Dakota. And the snow will get heavy with winds gusting over 40 across parts of North Dakota into Manitoba, Saskatchewan. We may see winds even closer to 50 miles per hour and some decent snow going here with several inches. Across parts of Minnesota, we'll see a little bit of snow too. And now we're watching this upper low start to break off here. And this piece of energy gets cut off due to some ridging that starts to develop here across parts of northern Canada and the Hudson Bay. This area of low pressure on the European recently has been looking pretty impressive. This is the overnight run, early Monday morning, transitioning rain to snow underneath this cold pocket of air here aloft. By the way, there's the snow here across North Dakota and Minnesota, but let's go a little closer here to this event here across the east. Again, we start off with mostly rain on Wednesday and then transition quickly over to snow. There are so many questions that I have. Right here is your coldest air aloft, your upper low, if you will. Underneath this is where you would likely see snow. This is going to be an elevation-based snow event. Really not a lot of cold air in place. The storm is really going to create its own cold air, if you will. And then into the mountains of Pennsylvania, higher elevations away from the lakes here, even into parts of Michigan. I know we don't have a lot of elevation here, but it's going to be so close in many of these areas. And then underneath this upper low, as it moves into parts of Ohio, we could see some snow here too. A couple of inches, it looks like, and I think we could see several inches of snow here into the mountains of West Virginia, maybe even down into parts of Southwest Virginia. This right here looks like the sweet spot for snow, and then also here into the mountains of the Northeast, the Adirondacks, the Catskills. Probably going to see some snow out of this. Snow totals over the next couple of days, Thursday into Friday, a couple of inches possible across Ohio. Do we get a good thump of snow here north of Akron, close to really north of Pittsburgh, up toward Erie? I don't know about Erie, but once you head south of Erie, get up in elevation away from the lake and get away from the influence of the lake too. That water is actually influencing the weather somewhat too. You could see a good thump of snow here. Keep in mind, we're still several days away, but the models have been pretty consistent in showing that. And then get up into the West Virginia mountains, Elkins, down to Snowshoe, Pocahontas County, down here toward Flat Top, Beckley, Bluefield. We could see several inches of snow out of this just because of the elevation. Outside of that, once you get down out of the mountains, get toward Blacksburg, Roanoke, even once you get down towards Wytheville and drop down into North Carolina, no snow here. We're talking about just rain, all rain for the big cities at this point. It's just not cold enough this go around. And even the GFS agrees with that, although it's a little different looking, right? It tries to develop an area of low pressure here off the coast. That cyclogenesis would cause some rapid deepening, and that could put some snow here into the mountains. The European, not quite on board with that idea. Still a couple of days to go, ironing out the details. That system, again, just now coming into the west, so I will stay on top of this. This is something that I'm watching anyway, pretty closely. And then the question becomes, what happens after this moves out? As you know, once you get out in time, things get kind of wonky. It's hard to really follow, but some of the long-term weeklies keep this northwest flow here into the Great Lakes and into the Northeast through Wednesday and then into Thursday, Thanksgiving. So we could actually be looking at another storm possibly around that time period. Where will it be? Who will be impacted? I think there are a lot of questions. And then as you go out in time, these models start to flatten things out. But the indication that there could be some colder weather on the way, at least the troughiness here in the east, more of a ridge across the west, if not zonal. That may actually bring more snow and rain into central California and into the Pacific Northwest with more atmospheric river type moisture moving in. So if you like this kind of content, I hope you'll subscribe, come back, and I hope you have a great Monday. See you next time.